Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to Rowdies Live on the Rock and Roll Rowdies channel. Thank you, everybody, for being here and watching. Click the like button, share it, the stream, all that good stuff. This is the channel, the Rock and Roll Rowdies channel, where the amps are always humming, as along with the pacemakers. And so we have a select crew today. We have the good-looking pair of the bunch. We got Granny. How are you, mate?
I'm fine. Just Southern California, paradise. You know, what can I say?
Take it easy, man. Yep. You're running down the road trying to loosen your load.
That's the story of
my life.
How
many women have you got on your mind?
It's the story of my life, losing my load.
Yeah.
And what a way to enter this show.
And welcome, Dustin. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, there we
Good
go.
to see you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. And Mark, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. Okay,
Good.
Brian. Yeah. And Granny, nice to see you, Granny.
Yeah, I see you got a new mic there, Mark.
I've got one of my mics. This is actually a TomTom mic. But
nice.
I use all my other mics on the road, so I don't want to keep unpacking, and so I've got this one. It sounds all right. Yeah, I'm still here. Hello.
Good to see you. I see it's dark outside.
It is dark outside, and autumn is definitely coming in, man. It's misty and showery. The rain's in the wind.
With the other girls that you've known recently, yes, misty, showery.
Actually, the same in Southern California. We're having what they call fall. Yeah, all the leaves are going. It's misty and damp. It's quite nice.
The seasons happen whether it's sunny climate or not, don't they?
Yeah. All the leaves are brown and the skies are grey. Hey, I wanted to show you something, Mark, before we start talking about music. This might bring back some happy memories for you. Hang on. Torquay in the 1970s.
I wasn't there most of the time, to be honest.
That's right. But look how crowded that beach is. I mean,
that's Torquay seafront. Yeah,
yeah.
Back in the old days when I was growing up, I mean, it goes back to the black and white days, so to speak. I mean, like Paignton, there's a railway station comes right through the centre of Paignton, and at the crossing there, the trains used to be packed with holidaymakers, all waving out the window and stuff, celebrating their arrival in sunny southwest Devon. Where but it's a different game these days.
Oh yeah, but here's another one that I noticed that somebody had shared. Hang on, that's another Torquay. So showed the palm trees. People in North America don't realize there are palm trees in the UK.
Yeah, we brought them over from some country we captured.
That's probably right. That's right. But down in the Cornish Riviera, it's
it is lovely. It is lovely around here. When the weather's right, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice. So I just thought you'd get a kick out of those because it is your
Mark grew up with palm trees up in the northeast. We had slag heaps from the coal mines.
Slag heaps.
I like
very picturesque up there.
That's Dustin. Do you know what a slag heap is?
I can guess. It might be a long one. It might be like I don't know.
A pile of prostitutes.
That's okay. That's it. We're banned already. Thank you for they're not monetized. It'd be demonetized instantly.
Just digressing for a moment. There was that a movie that was shot at Easington Colliery. Perfectly captures it. It's the one. It's a classic detective thing where they're fighting on the beach, and they had this. Get Carter. That's about 5 miles from Hartlepool, and it's horrible. It's this drizzly industrial scene, and they used to take the spoil, the waste stuff from the mines on this overhead conveyor belt and just dump it in the sea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up in a mining town, and it was surrounded by slag heaps, which is all the shit they can't use. They just they dig out, they just pour it on these huge mountains, and eventually they did grass over them and turned them into trails and stuff.
But it actually spawned an industry in Hartlepool, sea coal collecting. The sea coal would drift with the tides down into the bay at Hartlepool, and the beach would be covered in little round pebbles of coal, usable, and guys would make a living
picking it
2 or
up,
3
yeah.
bags full of wet sea coal, pushing it on their bike. I mean,
Yeah, our great
No
buddy
such
Chris.
thing as waste in those days, right? No
Exactly.
nothing went away. I think Bill Brandt got pictures of that kind of stuff, you know.
Oh yeah. So Christian says it slag heap sounds like a last call honey in a northern England pub.
Well, that's the other side of the coin, yeah.
Yeah, and Courtney, our great friend Courtney, thinks it's the Jersey Shore we're talking about. So
Yeah, similar.
yeah,
Around
so,
Elizabeth, not too pretty
Or
around
Gary,
Elizabeth.
Indiana, really.
Gary,
Yeah.
Indiana. So welcome to everybody in the chat. FKHC 2005. Christian is here. The great Davina Duckworth. Courtney, our great friend Courtney, who's we're doing this one day. I think Granny and I want to do a show with you about the Divinals. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyone else out there, thanks for joining us. And Mark, I did want to start by talking about some stuff you've been doing the last couple of weeks before we go back to the Wishbone Ash of 1975. You're obviously still working. You're one of the industrious rowdies that's still working.
surviving.
Working with Martin Turner, ex Wishbone Ash, and you've played a lot of gigs recently. One was at the famous 100 Club, I believe.
Yeah, we did it last Saturday. In fact, yeah, it's a classic venue. You know, we had a hell of a journey getting there, to be honest, because we all gathered at Martyrs because of the ULIS zone stuff and all the, you know,
the
low
traffic
emission zones. Yeah, so we all piled in the van and came into central London, but the traffic was just absolutely standstill. I mean, it's just, I don't think that the fines and all that has made the slightest bit of difference. It's just as much traffic. Anyway, we were stuck in the traffic. We actually got out of the van and walked along the van to try and get going. And, you know, it just took us like 2.5 hours to get in from Woking. But it's, you know, that's road stuff. It was hot. It was, you know, it was just.
But the 100 Club.
I think I did a little video on my YouTube channel with it.
You did. The 100 Club, of course, still one of the venues that shows classic rock.
Well, it is. It's you know, obviously iconic. Well, there's Lynna.
Yeah,
she was a gas. She helped out a lot, and first gig that she'd been on with me since we kind of became friends, and she was taking some great photos, and it was basically a gas.
There's the working man. They call him the working man. I guess that's what he is.
But it was great because she was there at the load-in, so it's you know, it's not like photos of the band on stage. There's me fucking. Oh, sorry, excuse my French. There's me setting up the computer or whatever, or feeding the bags or something. And there's that's Danny Wilson, guitarist extraordinaire.
Yeah, but famous club, and you're still in the audience. You're standing right in front of the band there. There's the stage isn't really
it's very long and narrow. You know, it's a wide stage, and the venue's only about 10 meters deep.
Yeah,
you know, you've got the stage there, and then against the back wall is myself. Behind a cage, you know, in the mixing booth with no room. But you know, it's great. You can see the speakers hanging from the roof. All the equipment's coming in. It's down 3 flights of stairs, right?
Oh, right. You had to get all down there.
Yeah. So, you know, I arranged for crew. No crew there when we got there. But we got, you know, getting it down there wasn't that bad. And luckily, you know, I had to go with the representative for the promoter, and he managed to rustle up some crew for the loadout, which helped an awful lot.
Oh, yeah, it would. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, 3 flights of cast iron stairs. You know what it's like, you know.
But yeah, classic venue.
Knows what it's like, you know.
Every famous band in the world has played there, I think, and they became famous again in the punk era for all the bands that played there. And
it
looks like a really sweet spot to play, like, or even to see shows, like, because the stage isn't actually decent size.
Yeah, it's wide enough.
It's not a bad stage, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that deep, but so you can't, you know, so we're sort of spread out, you know. But the drum kit gets a feature role, really. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's not a bad place at all. Yeah, we actually, I'm going to just play a little clip of, you shared a couple of clips just to see that you've got the band. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really neat venue. That big wooden pillar in the middle, by the end of the night, I'd be standing against that or leaning
course.
against that.
Yeah, it's like, where do we put Martin? And the idea was for basically you stick him in the middle behind the pillar because
Yeah.
it's wider. There's more people to the left and the right than what behind the pillar itself. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we wanted to do those sort of videos and photos just to sort of let people know out there. Then it's not just you walk on stage and everything's all the lights are going and everything, the sound's all done and everything. There's hours of preparation. You know, you got to get the gear in. Look how much gear there was. That's just our back
God.
line.
Yeah, I mean, that's just about like hours of preparation H, I think, by the end of carrying all that. But
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, well,
lucky in
with
that
my
as well.
legs, I really try to avoid carrying it a lot. But
yeah.
you know, luckily there's we got a couple of guitarists that are pretty strong as well. You know, so I mean, we just all got to muck in
It's muck in, yeah. And you were behind the sound desk, right at the back. It's just a very narrow
behind the
spot.
cage.
Yeah, behind the cage. So.
Yeah.
Dustin, you were going to say
Seeing that
something.
takes me back. I've been to several shows there. Freddie King, the blues legend, backed by Chicken Shack with Stan Webb and other. And it used to be a jazz venue, but it's a really intimate place. It's one of those classic places where you
Looks
can really
good.
see guys, the energy. You can really see them working on it. You know, it's a great place.
Is it in Oxford Street?
Oxford
Right on
Street,
Oxford.
in the heart of London.
Yeah,
That's
I've
the
walked
address.
past it. I've walked past it.
100 Oxford Street. It's
Yeah,
right
and-
next to Ann Summers.
Ann Summers, I noticed that in the picture next to Ann Summers. So lots of lingerie. If you want to pop out for some lingerie,
Very convenient. Yeah, for
So,
those after
yeah.
show parties, you know, you need a little something to slip into.
It's a bit
Yeah.
inspiring, yeah.
So how did that gig go then? How many people were in the venue? I think like
It was
300 or
packed.
400.
It was packed.
Nice.
And it went right. I mean, the audience, the best audience actually for ages. As soon as the band started, they're all singing. They're even singing the guitar
nice.
parts.
Nice.
And the audience singing it.
Right.
It's just awesome when it's like that. You know, you really get the feeling for the song.
Good gig, yeah.
One of the really, profound songs. You know, the warrior and the king will come and throw down the sword. They're very sort of profound in their about war and anti-war and stuff like that. When you hear everybody singing, it's almost like hearing like a national anthem. You know,
Courtney was asking what the capacity there is.
it's not huge, 300, I think.
300,
That's still a decent sized capacity for a room that.
It gets pretty sweaty in that.
Getting to the bar would be trouble.
Yeah.
See, me and my buddies, we used to do it in like, it's your turn and bring back 5 beers, and then the next one would start as soon as they came back. So we had a constant procession going.
Yeah, I didn't really have time to do that, but
well, you were working, but so line is in the
the little tiny dressing room. I don't know whether there's any shots of the dressing room you got. It's got more graffiti on the walls than you can squeeze on there. You know,
there
it's
might
like
have been a video. Well, you and I'll do we're going to do that video about venues, so we'll do that then.
Oh, right.
That's when we need smellorama when you're doing photographs of the dressing rooms. You know, you need the pungent.
Well, it's just so small, and just the amount of graffiti bands names and everything. It's iconic, man. It's
nice. I'm glad that went well.
Better than art.
It's one of these venues we hope never goes away. We hope it's there forever, for sure. So many have fallen by the wayside. So,
well, I mean, I just mentioned another venue we did recently in Newark, which is up in I think that's Nottinghamshire.
Nottinghamshire, yeah. I've been there many times.
They're having a great little gig called the Flying Circus, and it's upstairs. It's a pain in the ass to get in and everything, but everyone helps out. And they run a lot of classic rock bands through there. It's only a small capacity, but they do it. And unfortunately, someone bought a flat next door or something, and as part of the complaint, even though Tony at the Flying Circus did a whole thing with what you call it when everybody signs the thing to petition. And I just heard last week that it's been refused, so he's going to lose his music license, and the ironic thing is, there's a club across the road that's open until 3 o'clock in the morning. We're doing dance music, pumping out.
I mean, when you buy a place next to a venue, you know what you're getting. I mean, there's no way you don't know what you're getting.
That's like that's like where I live. So where I live, about a half a mile from us is a drag strip. You know, the big, huge, loud dragsters, right?
Right.
People, and there's been like housing conditions pop up over the years, and they always complain. It's like, but you bought a house near the drag strip. Why would you? How could you complain about that? You knew it was there.
You knew it was there.
Trying to get it shut down.
I know. It makes no sense whatsoever. And the fact that one person can start basically ruin a whole history of events.
Someone's business. And someone's business. They can ruin someone's one.
It's nothing new. Nothing new. A mate of mine lived in Somerset, and people moved down from Bristol and started complaining about the smell of the cows in the farms. You know. So anyway. That's not rock and roll.
They complain about this. They complain about the smell of the changing rooms at the 100 Club. I think
that's right. That's
being mad at idiots is rock and roll.
Yeah. No, it's a really it's a shit thing, to be honest. It really is, and it seems to be prevalent. And and it's just these venues that support that stuff. That's I just gets on my nose. Really gets up my nose. That.
Anyway.
So but onward. I mean, we're actually doing another one of these little venues in Barnoldswick. Anyone heard of that?
Yes, the Forest of Bowland.
Never heard of it.
I was there about 6 months ago.
Oh, you were there?
I was there.
There's a little venue there called Barnoldswick Music and Arts Centre, and it is tiny. This is really tiny. It's probably about as big as your room there, Brian. But it's full of photos, and it's run by one of the ex-bass players or a current bass player, I think, maybe, of the Animals.
Oh,
yeah.
Must be current because Chaz Chandler's gone long ago.
Maybe it's probably several versions since. I don't know.
Yeah, there'll be a few since.
It's a classic music, but we're doing our first gig there this weekend. I hope the same fate doesn't
happen. Tight squeeze then, though, for a band to play a little.
We can't even take the drum. They've got a miniature drum kit in there, and they've got a bass stack, and we're not taking our back line in.
I remember one of the first gigs I ever did. We had a drummer. He had a kind of a double drum kit. Dave Usher did a Ginger Baker kind of thing, and we got to this church hall. They said, "Oh, you won't need all of them drums in here. It's not a very big room." So, like you just said,
you never know. We've squeezed into some tight ones.
Sorry, are we talking about bands again? What are we squeezing?
Yeah, some squeezes. Yeah,
sorry. So great.
I'm glad it's a big squeeze.
Yeah, glad it's going well though, Mark. Thank you and thanks to Liner for those photos and video clips, and we'll show more of those in future. Well, Mark and I are planning to talk about some of these venues together at length. So, but that you're working still. You've got that long history with Martin Turner and Wishbone Ash. And we're going to talk a little.
It's a broken history because I was there in the very early days, right through to 79, and then there was like a 40-year gap.
Yeah. Just overnight, really. But back in the day, you and Granny have shared with me some stuff I'm going to show. You did 1975. You both worked for Wishbone Ash at the same time on a US tour. Am I right in saying? Fairly big tour. It was an extensive tour. Was that the first time you guys had worked on such a tour together, or had you worked on stuff together before?
We'd done isolated gigs together in Britain. Like me and Mal would be with the opening act at the Lyceum. I remember we did one, and then we might meet up again. I think I did a gig in South Wales with the legendary Gnidrolog, and we opened up for Wishbone. I know, Gnidrolog. They seem to sneak in every time.
There's not a show that name isn't mentioned, and I still don't know who they are.
It's legitimate.
Just kidding.
So our paths would cross regularly, and I think when we first came down from Hartlepool, we did our first long distance gig was at Exeter University, and I think we did a warm up gig in Torquay. I'm pretty sure we met Mark there. That was back in '69.
That was in '69.
Wow!
But the first full on tour was me, Mal, and Mark.
Yeah, and we're going to show some images from that if that's okay with you guys. This is actually I think this is 76, not 75.
A little bit later, yeah.
But this was worth showing anyway with you and Mal and Martin.
Now the eyes. I think we'd had some mushrooms. That's what it looks like to me.
That's Ted Turner there, actually.
Yeah, Ted's great.
So it's Ted Turner, not Martin. Yeah,
that's me in the middle, Mal in the red shirt. In case people can't distinguish.
I thought Ted had left the band by then.
He had.
Yeah, it was Laurie Wisefield was in the band in '75.
He was living in a geodesic dome up in the Malibu Mountains. Very sort of a hippie thing. And then he went off to Peru, I think, to find himself. That kind of thing, yeah.
And did he find himself, or was he?
Must have done, because he's back here.
Was he there when he got there? I mean,
but a lovely bloke, but a little bit on the hippie side. Now there you go, Mark. Do you remember him?
This is a great picture. I mean,
do you remember him, Mark?
Go on, who is it?
Well, I don't know. It's in the slides. All the pictures I took when we were getting ready for the for that '75 tour.
And I didn't know. He's got long hair, mustache, denim shirt, and denim jeans on.
It looks just like everybody else.
Yeah, I don't know who it is, but
I thought it might have been one of the guys from Upstaging, because they're a huge company now. But we were using them out of a little place, a little workshop in the back garden, in Illinois or somewhere. I thought it might be one of those guys. I didn't know if you might know him.
Detroit. No, it doesn't ring a bell.
So this '75 Wishbone Ash tour was, I mean, you'd been touring with them. And
that's Laurel Edge.
Yeah, Mark, you'd been they'd done a '74 big US tour. I think it just carried on into '75. Yeah.
That's Laurel Edge, which is where Wishbone were based in Connecticut.
Right, and so they used it as a base.
Downstairs, which we basically built. Tons and tons of carpet underlay. There's Malcrags. Yeah, and so that was the base there. We recorded a lot of the album for New England there.
That was the album, New England, yeah.
With the Rolling Stone mobile truck, which came up to the house and took over the whole house.
Yeah, because you were touring. The album that was out before that tour was, I think, There's the Rub.
Right.
So, but you did record while you were there. These are great pictures, by the way. I love these pictures.
That is me, fresh from the airport with wearing sandals and socks.
Yeah,
that's a hell of an image.
What a hippie!
Straight from the airport. Mal picked me up at Kennedy Airport and drove out to Martin's house.
Just trying to remember whose car that was. I remember those Ryder trucks, man. We lived in those bloody things. They're very chunky. They're not very fast.
No.
Like
reliable
today.
Though.
Well, the trick was to get behind a semi and get in a slipstream, and you got an extra few miles an hour.
Along at 55 miles an hour. Yeah.
So what is that car, Dustin? Do you know what that is? Is it Mercury or something? Or no?
Oldsmobile, I think.
Oldsmobile.
Yeah, it looks like a big Oldsmobile. Yeah.
This one's a weird one on the left here with the.
It's like a coupe, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that might be.
These pictures, that's what's interesting, is things you just took for granted. You look at an old photograph and look at the cars and look at the things, the advertising, the things that have changed.
Davina suggests it's a Camaro, the one on the left, but
yeah,
that's a good idea. Yes.
So this is in Connecticut, and that was a base.
Trans Am, I can't tell.
That's the house that me and Granny were at, and Mal.
It's not in flames. How come it's not burning down?
In Georgetown, it was bloody hot in there. It just had a timber. If I remember, the timber bedrooms upstairs.
Yeah,
and they were all timber clad.
Now this is
boys.
The only thing this picture's missing is the wanted, the lettering wanted.
These are rock star roadies, man.
I mean, it reminds me of the one of you guys in the shorts. I mean, you're getting your photograph taken.
I guess, yeah.
Couple of poses.
I like the t-shirt at the bottom line.
Bottom line, legendary gig again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we were living the rock and roll lifestyle. You were living in country houses in Connecticut, an hour or so from Manhattan. You would drive in to go to Manny's, Sam Ash, have an orange Julius, slice of pizza, and you were living it. You couldn't believe it. Our little house was about 3 or 4 miles from the other guys. They were all in different spots. It was a pleasant drive over to the rehearsal. When the band are rehearsing, me and Mal are in the swimming pool. We got to go to Manny's, so we need to get some more drumsticks. Wink, wink. Be back in a couple of days.
Right.
A couple of days.
Yeah, a couple of days. But so this era, I mean, this is summer '75.
May, June, July, yeah.
And the band were based in this house, but they were traveling all over the country for gigs.
Yeah. We were living in Connecticut for good 5 years.
There I am. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's
Martin had a house with his wife. Andy had another house with his wife, and then Steve and Laurie lived in a third one. I just found in an old box. I found an old address book with all this information in yesterday.
Has
It's
you
got
got
all the
phone numbers?
addresses.
Call the numbers and see if anyone
Everything's in
answers.
here, man. Everything.
Is that New York City? I think is that
It is.
Staten Island Ferry.
Staten Island Ferry, yeah. It's kind of neat, eh? It's a good picture, Mark.
Yeah.
Good picture.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was the kind of stuff that this was the 73 live album, so they'd be still playing a lot of that material,
Yeah.
I would imagine. And then there's The Rub was the album out before.
Yeah, never really got that album cover really.
Yeah.
But all the album covers were done with Hypnosis,
yeah, they did tons of
He
stuff.
did Dark Side of the Moon and
Genesis
Mal
album.
volunteered to pose for that shot, but apparently the package was they couldn't get cameras to take it all in.
Well, they had to ask for new balls. New balls, please.
definitely.
So is he holding a plum? What is that? Like a?
It's a cricket ball.
And they rub the cricket ball against their pants. It's just a thing they do to get grip on the ball, like pitchers. They have to stick them and all that.
Hence, there's The Rub.
There's The Rub and new balls, please.
Yeah,
that's a little entendre, isn't it? There's The Rub.
Yeah,
that's the trick. That's
not
the
a great
catch.
album cover for America because obviously Americans can't understand it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fruit.
It wasn't a great album cover for Scotland. We don't understand it either.
You guys don't get cricket.
We don't get cricket either.
And we
Now,
don't get
I don't think the zipper works like on the Stones album. At least that zipper worked.
Oh, yeah.
Cricket is a game which you can play for 4 days and it ends in a draw.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a guy on my niche that I talked to from Australia, and he was talking about cricket one day, and he was like, "Yeah, you can play for like 4 or 5 days, and it just ends in a draw."
Ends in a draw. But the good thing is, if you're in the crowd, you're absolutely hammered, and you have been for 4 days.
Gin and tonics, cucumber salmon. But the best explanation of cricket I've ever heard is on Monty Python. It's brilliant. Michael Palin and these people are talking about balls, bails, stumps. It's classic. So Monty Python, check it out.
Yeah, well, they satirized everything in English society very well. But so yeah, that album I don't particularly remember any tracks off that myself. I think the earlier ones are more better known, I would say, at this point. But it was I think they produced it themselves though. This was when they started to produce their own albums. They didn't have an outside producer. So
didn't Tom Dowd get involved?
Oh, he might have been. Yeah, I don't know. Mark might know. I mean, this is from that era. This is somewhere in that tour.
Mr. Laurie Wisefield carrying his bag there.
Flared pants, look, you could tell by the pants.
You can.
Yeah, very trendy.
And there's the New York City one from that. I mean, you may have been at that photo shoot, guys. I don't know. I mean, it's possible.
Would probably avoid it down the pub somehow.
Yeah. Well, there's a few good bars down that area. But,
yeah. I mean, we were doing a lot of gigs back in those days, and just to sort of like, it's kind of like an irony. I mean, Wishbone Ash has kind of faded. Well, before I started working with Martin again, I thought they'd faded off the planet, really, as far as popularity. But they were, back in those days, we were headlining over Springsteen.
Well, it did. I mean, this tour alone.
We headlined over Aerosmith. Ted Nugent.
Kiss. Kiss. You headlined over Kiss in a couple of gigs.
Yeah, that is at Long Beach Arena. Kiss at Long Beach Arena. I mean, they are LA fucking. They are LA band.
Yeah, I mean, you that's the one that's on the list of those gigs. I noticed it straight away. Kiss supporting you in that one. It's so they were
Long Beach Arena.
Yeah, Long Beach Arena. Yeah,
I think the promoter wanted to call it the Kish My Ash Tour.
Headlining over Aerosmith and Kansas on many of these gigs in this tour.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you remember about? Do you remember much about Aerosmith?
They blew us off the stage.
Well, they blew a lot of things, I believe, but there's. I mean, they
it just happened to be like they were just shooting up the charts, and the bookings were made before they'd got there. So, they were like the support act, but really, they were already headline status.
Well, they were 3 years into their. I mean, they had their first hit in '72, so by then they were huge.
The first hit. And the same thing happened with like Joe Walsh, with all these other acts,
I remember Mel Baster is a Geordie He was a tour manager,
Yeah.
and I remember him and the other tour managers going at it about who gets the dressing rooms,
Mhm.
who's headline tonight, and then the next night it was
Yeah,
like,
it was all a bit close, but unfortunately, Wishbone sort of lost the battle of all these top bands, and
Mm.
they've all become, super iconic. And Wishbone has kind of been forgotten, even though they were, really part of that
Yeah.
whole thing.
I mean, I've
Sadly,
got a lot of
otherwise I'd
posters.
be earning a lot more money.
So, but Aerosmith in particular had a I'm not claiming that Wishbone were any slouches in the having a good time department, but Aerosmith are notorious for their habits. I mean, did
Got 'em a long
they
way.
did they perform well from your recollection of those gigs?
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean they were proper rock and roll out, weren't they? I mean,
yeah.
that's Camel. Yeah.
So this is some of the
Wishbone, all
posters.
English, boiling hot, down and smoking.
Smoking all English rock.
Wishbone were a bit too English gentlemanly in some ways for
Yeah.
a lot of the fans who just wanted to really rock out and puke all over the place and that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wishbone were pretty clean, weren't they, Mal?
They were clean. They're a very clean band.
I don't
Very
remember
clean,
them being
very
into
clean
anything.
boys. Yeah.
Like they
And
always
they
took a
are.
shower every day. They're very clean. Take a
Yeah.
shower.
They all had our encounters with various
This was Fort Worth, I think.
things and stuff
Tarrant
like
County.
that. But on the whole, they're pretty clean band. But we all stepped off the line a bit now and again.
So
I
this
wonder, Ron Powell, was that a distant relative?
I don't
Ron
think
Powell presents.
I don't
This
think
is
so.
Fort Worth. This is Fort Worth in Texas. I don't know if you recall that gig particularly, any of you, but either
No.
of you.
What,
Camel being the special guests on that British band, prog rock band, of course.
uh,
I mean, they're no good Nidrolog, but they're a good prog rock.
Well,
This was
Hey.
later, of course. This wasn't on that. This was in the middle of all that stuff. This is August '75. So Wishbone were still headlining,
yeah.
Reading.
yeah.
So this was seen as a bit of a comeback gig, the Reading 75 Festival. They'd been sort of hibernating a little bit in Connecticut, and I think the tour we did in the States was to warm up for the European Festival summer.
Yeah.
And so they got a big reaction when they headlined Reading.
So this is another poster I found. I'm not sure where the Morris Civic Auditorium is, but Mahogany Rush were the support act. Good band from Montreal, Canada. Frank Marino.
Well, it's Indiana because it's got Elkhart and Goshen down the bottom,
Okay,
so
so
it must
that's
be Indiana.
It's Indiana. Did it want you? Did Indiana want you?
Morris
These are great
Civic
posters.
Auditorium. Let me see where that was.
See, that's your part of the world, isn't it?
I do have a
If
list.
it's Indiana, let me see, because I've never heard of it. So
I
it's
do have a
probably not
list.
Indianapolis.
There is a list of the gigs somewhere, which I can look up. This was one of the ones with Aerosmith in Kansas.
What a gig.
Bit blurry, but look at that. Aerosmith in Kansas.
I have that. That's my photograph. I still have the poster.
Yeah. South Bend
It's like
is
South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah, FKHC 2005 sings South Bend, which I've driven through. I've never stopped in. But
Yeah,
No
it's like right next to Gary, Indiana. Like
yeah, so
Gary.
there's the old dual headline confusion,
yeah.
fighting over dress rooms. Yeah,
Well, that's
Wishbone
in Green Bay,
and
Wisconsin.
Aerosmith, plus guests,
It's,
Kansas.
Green Bay, Wisconsin. So you were up north by this time.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a long way up.
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of gigs like that.
We went
There
to
was some
Green Bay and Marquette.
Yeah, there were some Canadian gigs too. I noticed in the list.
But
So
you know, in my transporting world, there's a big railroad museum in Green Bay, and of course there's an English preserved steam locomotive, Dwight D. Eisenhower, named after the late president, was donated to that museum. So I made a special trip to that museum somehow.
There's the switch.
Yeah, Aerosmith with special
now,
guest.
yeah. That's like a week later, right? Or something.
I know. Yeah.
The promoters were getting. You know what? So
Yeah, this is Sunshine Productions. It's the same company, Sunshine.
Ron Sunshine.
So
Little
the
phone call.
Roberts Municipal Stadium. Which one was that? Roberts. I got a list. Of
Evansville. It said
Evansville. Yeah.
Evansville, Indiana.
So yeah,
the
things
bottom,
had switched by then. I mean, but the band were still getting received well. It's just they were with a band that was becoming huge.
Yeah. So, but no, there's nothing wrong with what we were doing. You know, we were doing 8,000-10,000 seats, and that was probably the peak between 74, 75,
Yeah.
76 even. 74, 75.
There's a
Yeah.
better version of the one you sent, Granny. So that's Minnesota.
St.
Well,
Paul.
that's I rescanned it. I think you must have 2 copies.
Yeah, I got 2 copies.
Yeah.
It's
I've
St. Paul.
cropped it a little bit cleaner.
So you were still above Aerosmith then.
Hanging on.
Kansas were definitely third, though. There's no doubt about
Yeah.
Now, Kansas had not yet had the big Carry On My Wayward Son. I don't think it had yet been a hit by then.
No, not yet.
Yeah, on
Good
their way up.
band, quite a progressive band,
Yeah. No, they're all good bands. I mean, I loved Aerosmith. I thought they were rocking.
Yeah.
They definitely had the image. And
I remember my first tour of the States was the summer before, and I was in Atlanta for like 4 days. And one of the nights, Kansas played at the Fox Theater, which is a legendary, again, classic place. And I remember watching them, and I thought, oh, these are very different. They were a great show.
Yeah. I think the difference between the Aerosmith and the Wishbone shows is that Wishbone shows it's all guys, sort of, young upcoming guitarist type fans. And Aerosmith is all girls sort of ready to throw their knickers on the
Tyler,
shag everybody.
As somebody in the chat just said, it was FKHC. Who knew that Steve Tyler would still be around today?
Yeah, I know.
He is. He might be around, but he's not all the way there.
He's not all the way there.
You heard him on like Joe Rogan and stuff.
That's the pool. That's the pool at Laurel Edge.
Back at Martin's house.
Yeah.
So I think Miles Copeland is in this picture.
That's Miles and Lounger.
Obviously Stuart's big bro and major record company honcho, but and CIA agent.
Yeah, he went on to be manager of the police.
Yeah,
his brother Stuart was in the band, of course.
Yeah. Well, Stuart was in Curved Air at this time. The band,
the whole family, the brother, just gone blank, had an agency, FBI, because they named all of their companies after like government agencies.
Well, I think their dad was in the CIA. Was he?
In Beirut. Right. They grew up in Beirut.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about Ian.
Ian, right.
He was a great guy. I loved Ian. He was so much fun. And unfortunately, he died in an accident on a trike, I think.
So tell us about this picture.
That's Detroit.
That's the motorhome.
Yeah, the Winnebago. Pace Arrow, actually. It's a Pace Arrow, not a Winnebago.
No, it's not. Yeah. I see somebody called Billy Lee is appearing. Billy Lee.
Well, this is one of those Holiday Inns just on the edge of Detroit, but it had like the play area. It was roofed over in the swimming pool with like all the fake turf around it. And there are billiard tables, and you can get waiters service. I have some funky pictures of everybody playing pool by the pool at the hotel. But there was the Holiday Inn. You're in America on tour with a rock band. I mean, it was magic.
It would be, yeah, for
magic.
Sure. Even Detroit.
It was magic.
Detroit hadn't started its decline by then. It was still doing pretty well.
At first,
we started it.
Yeah, you started it by appearing. This is in
just on the Holiday Inns. At first, the first impression with the Holiday Inns was like, "Oh man, this is really tacky." You go into the lounge bar and there was some band playing there with inflatable gear. Well, it looks like inflatable gear. That
was there a guy singing Star Wars?
And they all sing some sporty songs. So the first impression of the Holiday Inns, but you grew to love them because you kind of got. Yeah, the basic service was good.
I think that gear you're talking about is custom amps. They had like a poof effect around them, like a settee. It looked like an old settee.
I do like this poster because it's got the Stones 75 tour.
I was almost on that tour. I did that Warner Brothers thing in January, February 75.
Yeah.
And the production manager, the Stones production manager, said, I might be able to get you on a tour of the States. In the end, it didn't happen, apparently, because the unions would only allow a certain number of Brits to come on the crew.
Okay.
But that was a classic tour.
Yeah. And there's another picture coming over whatever bridge it is. I don't know which one.
It's coming over. That's the Long Island Expressway over from the Kennedy Airport area.
I think I've been on it, but I just can't remember. Then
they put it right through a cemetery. It goes right through the middle of this biggest cemetery I've ever seen.
I have driven on that, yeah. So they got Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building can be seen.
Yeah, I mean, to see that to me, I was just taking it all in. I couldn't get over it. I was in New York.
Yeah.
Like Marlboro country, how the advertising has changed, you know.
Texical. Well, we had that in Britain, of course.
Got a suit on the guy. Can you make it out on the
that.
billboard?
Yeah, I see that right there. Yeah. So this was all taken in your first.
This is the Wishbone time. We were driving in to go to Manny's and we're on the way to Staten Island to DiMaggio pickups. Do you remember, Mark?
Yes, I do, mate. Yeah, we go down there, and you know, a lot of the bands, you know, for people that don't know as well, they do get endorsements from a lot of these companies, and so then it becomes very selective. You know, you sort of get the pickups installed into, you know, Andy's Flying V or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so there's always doctoring work going on.
So you had to go over to Staten Island to pick those pickups up, though.
Yeah, that's where I forget his first name, Mr. DiMaggio, was based. It's just a little workshop. Nothing.
The guy in his, I've got his in this book. It's in his address, his name, and everything's in here. It's amazing, this little book. But it was a good excuse to go out. You know, we need some. And I think at the time, this is when they were really developing hot new pickups.
Yeah,
It was the era, wasn't it?
That's
amps
right.
to go with them.
Yeah. So all the guitarists were very into that.
Yeah.
And their little messengers to go and pick stuff up.
Yeah. Staten Island Ferry is neat, though. I've been on that once. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Twin Towers there.
Yeah.
Actually, taking the ferries around Manhattan Island is brilliant. If you want to go over to Queens, for instance, take the ferry over. It's really good. You get a tour past all these islands that they've got out there. And,
Statue of Liberty and all of the Ellis Island.
Yeah, it's always good to take those ferries. There's another view coming into the.
There's the cemetery on the left. You can see they just cut right through it.
Yeah. And then another one of the Holiday Inns. Go Tigers. That's Detroit, because that's
classic.
That's Detroit as well.
That's the same hotel, just a different angle.
Right. Yeah. Go Tigers.
Pretty sure.
Class.
They all look the same.
I kept all the postcards of the airplanes, the hotels. Yeah.
It's a great picture of you in the top right-hand corner.
That's right. Yeah, that was like those sideburns.
Oh, right. Yeah, right.
So the band, did the band stay at these two, or was it just you guys?
Yeah.
Everyone stayed at the same hotel.
In this case, yes.
Yeah, until they got bigger and stuff, then they tend to get, you know, if you're separated from the band and you're traveling separately, obviously different hotels. And, you know, a lot of the time the band would be flying and the crew would, you know, take the van or truck or whatever and feed them on stage.
This is from round about that era. It did claim it was 75. I don't know. It's obviously I wasn't there, but I guess you guys would say that looks fairly familiar.
Well, they still got the acoustic amps.
Yeah.
I see Laurie's still got that double, that's the preamp thing. So that's 70. Yeah, definitely about 75.
And Steve with his transparent drum kit or transparent.
Yeah, me and Mal got that Perspex riser made.
See that there, yeah.
So it's got to be 75.
But did you nail it down though?
Oh, I tried.
We still had a drum board, I think. You know, there's the drum board.
There's Martin with his top off.
Yeah. I think I hardly any room there, unless it's an optical illusion.
It looks a very, very small stage, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Orange amps in the background.
But there's room behind. Anyway,
there's plenty of room behind, but the drum rise is pulled really forward, which is strange.
Maybe Aerosmith made us set up in front of them.
Oh, maybe that's possible. I never thought of that. That is
sometimes some bands will say, "We're not moving anything. You got to work around us."
You see the orange amps.
And no barricades for these kinds of shows either.
Yeah. No. I'm wondering who that person is just off stage there. I wonder if it's one of you guys. You can vaguely see somebody.
Yeah, lurking.
I think it's one of you guys. But so that's what they looked like in that era, and it's still pretty rocking.
Martin still plays the Thunderbird bass, the same bass, that same bass.
Beautiful bass, yeah, beautiful. This is some of the stuff you sent through, Granny, that you've got passes and so on.
Right.
That's a neat one.
Yeah, beautiful.
Now, this is a gig that. Do you guys remember this one? It says Southern California, so I don't know whether that's LA.
I think this was in '76. I think I was living there by then, and I think they came through. I'm not sure where this was. Fun Productions.
Well, it's either going to be LA or San Diego, I guess. If it's Southern California.
Yeah. I don't know what venue. I can maybe look in the
diary. Do you recall this one, Mark? Bachman Turner Overdrive?
Well, you know, I love the band. you know. But
Were you part of this?
I always think of the Fast Show when it's hey man, let's rock to Bachman Turner Overdrive. Come on, let's rock.
It's Homer Simpson's favorite song, "Taking Care of Business." Elvis, well, that's what Elvis loved that. So that's why he nicked
That's
that.
right, TCB. Yeah, those
TCBs on his plane and everything.
he made those little pins and thing on his ring.
Yeah,
Taking
he
care of
loved
business.
that. So, were you working with the band, Mark, during this era, this gig? Do you recall?
I'm just trying to look it up. Is it one?
It's definitely 76, Mark. It's definitely because I got that out of my diary.
Right.
Definitely 76.
Good Canadian band, though, BTO.
Absolutely. Just scrolling down, see if I can see where they were. Well, I mean, we were doing it all over Southern California.
Yeah.
Winterland, San Francisco, Sports Arena, San Diego, Utah, Boise,
Could be San Diego.
Long Beach Arena,
I think it was in LA because I was living there by then.
Redding, California, Portland Theater, supported by Status Quo.
Oh wow! No, that's an unusual one.
Yeah. That was April 16, 1976.
Yeah. This is Detroit Cobo Hall, I think.
Yeah, that was the first gig of our tour in 75. Yeah.
Well, we did Cobo Hall prior to that with The Who in 71.
All right. As far back as that, yeah.
Yeah. That was our first tour. They were great gigs. That was the original band. I mean, they blew the socks off everything, you know. Yeah. The anticipation of The Who coming on stage is just, it's just electric. The vibe, you know. We've done ours. We were definitely supporting The Who, you know. But I mean, and they had the big searchlights behind the drums, so it's like, you know, these are sort of anti-aircraft searchlights, you know, so on stage.
It's one of the I mean, as you know, I'm a huge Who fan, and I remember the first time I saw them in Edinburgh, and it was the first gig Kenny Jones did as the drummer. I missed seeing him with Keith Moon. I was too young, but the anticipation before the gig is incredible. The crowd
it's so exciting, you know.
The crowd are just like, come on, cheering for an hour, screaming and shouting.
Exactly, man.
There's nothing like it. Yeah. And then they come on stage and it's just
I miss that so much. Like these last couple of years, there just haven't been enough shows where there's that anticipation. Like I don't even know if that's dead now. I mean, it's probably not, but it just feels that way to me, right? Like it's so hard to go to see a show where there's that level of energy.
Right. Well, there's so many outlets now, isn't there? I mean, people are bombarded. Not to say there isn't good stuff, but you're sort of bombarded now. Where I think in the 70s, that period, it was a special thing to go to a live concert, whereas it's become now a bit like corporate, and this was still rebellious. Is that 70s vibe? I think that's what's different. Not that the music.
It was an occasion.
This is a different generation. I've got friends of mine, you know, that grew up in the 80s, and they get really excited when they go to, you know, one of these club type things. You know, what's his name? You know, top DJs and stuff like that. And they got big production, and some guy up there, they're pressing buttons for records.
You know, that's what Molly Duncan's son does now. Did you know that? Molly Duncan's son, Dan. He's one of those disco turntable guys.
Yeah, and he does big events down in Marbella and
they
stuff.
They don't call them discos anymore.
But it's not my scene.
It's because of the things with the flares. You know.
Some of those people make like so much money. I had a friend, his aunt and uncle had a business in Vegas, and they would work with like Oakenfold and Paul Oakenfold, and they also at the time they employed what's the name? Boy George. They employed Boy George too.
Oh yeah, he's doing that circuit.
Yeah, that's where the anticipation is now. But I remember it well. Most of the early gigs I went to.
Yeah, going back to the real band.
You know, and when the lights would go down, it'd just be chaos. Chaos.
And you felt that setting up, you know, as Rowdies, you felt that. You felt you're part of this, you know.
Yeah. It's always exciting when it's like countdown to zero time, you know.
It's like a thrill,
You've got to get to the mixing.
There was a short-lived show called Vinyl.
You get to the mixer and you just press the unmute button just in time.
There was a short-lived show called Vinyl on HBO. It only did one season. I quite liked it. It's a shame, but they actually captured that quite well because the main character was backstage at the Madison Square Garden. Led Zeppelin were coming on, and I think they really captured that feeling well. The crowd were going nuts, and he was all excited, and the lights went down and just started up. And I thought that it's missing now. I don't feel that now.
Yeah, I mean, even stuff like a friend of mine was interviewing Tom Araya, and he was talking about like being backstage, and his daughter was old enough to be there, and she was standing near him, right? And like they're like Slayer, 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 and his daughter was like, "They're calling for you, Daddy." And I was like, that'd be like so amazing, right?
That's right. Calling, just the chanting for the band to come out. And then at the end of the gig, chanting they wouldn't come back because they'd already done 2 encores, and you're still chanting for them.
Or he left the building.
Yeah.
Jay Sconcerelli, that's our friend Sconnor.
Connor is in the chat. How are you, buddy?
Yeah. Hey, Sconnor.
Good to see you, mate. We're going to get you on here too, don't worry. If we dare. You said this is an interesting one though. I don't know anything about this festival, but you had this in your collection, Granny. Can you tell us?
It's true. I'd have to look at the diary.
So for those listening on audio, Mississippi River Festival is the
I mean, it was an open air event, obviously by the river.
Yeah,
summertime.
Probably would be St. Louis.
Iowa, could be, the Mississippi is a long river, so it could have been, but somewhere down in the Midwest, that whole tour was Midwest.
Well, maybe, was it Memphis? I know there's...
No, I don't think it was that far. It was more Midwest, upper Midwest.
Okay, so...
Probably
Minnesota. Minnesota, maybe? Or...
Mississippi
is huge, but I just wondered if you remembered any of the other bands that were playing or anything about it.
You were so focused on your own thing, you were hardly looking around. You were probably racing to get there on time. Now, there's the date, May the 30th. So that could tell me where to look it up.
Dustin can look it up for us.
I might have put them in my diary. Yeah, 1975. May the 30th. This would have been, it says...
It was in July,
Edwardsville,
right?
Edwardsville, Indiana.
Okay,
Edwardsville, Illinois.
Illinois, maybe. Okay.
Illinois. Only person there's I can't find any notice.
Oh, here we go. Here we are. I have in my diary, University of Southern Illinois at Edwardsville with Head East and Aerosmith. Open air theater, scene of the Mississippi River Festival. We drove overnight to Louisville after the show. There's the diary for you.
All right. There's another suggestion.
I remember that quite clearly. That because we did a few gigs like that where it's a half sort of tented area. Over the main stage, and maybe for the first 1,000 seats or whatever, and then it goes into an open field behind. So it's not completely open air, but it's in an amphitheater really. But it's the first half of it screen. And there's one in Maryland.
Because there was multiple gigs over multiple days, so you guys were just one of them.
Right, we have festival.
I think that festival
it was like all of July and August. It looks like.
I've never heard of it. Never heard of it before, but I love those amphitheaters that you have.
Yeah, they're great sound in there because you kind of got that outdoor sound, but they're closed in enough with the audience. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, we were so. I was just looking at the date sheets. And it was so busy back then, man. The amount of dates did a world tour that year, 1975.
I'm skipping past these. There we go. So there's some of the gigs. January 2nd onwards, Baltimore. You got Oklahoma, Houston, Fort Worth, Kansas. Yeah, that's just one set of them.
Yeah, that's just the first.
That's just January.
You did forget where you were. I mean, you can't remember everything.
There's the Kobo stuff in May. You got the Tower Theatre, Courtney's favorite, the Tower Theatre, Upper Darby. I mean, this is just up to June.
And it goes on up into Europe and then to Australia and Japan.
Oshkosh.
Oshkosh. By gosh.
By gosh. That's an unusual one. Two. You went back to the Tower Theatre again.
It was a great place.
Well, there's some great stuff there. Yeah, I know. You sent me some other bits and pieces. This is a neat image.
Little acoustic amplifiers, a promotional sticker. It was just happened to be on that address book I found yesterday.
Yeah. Those were the amps that you were using in the back line on that tour, or
Wishbone, yeah.
yeah.
Acoustic.
Twin preamp, so they could have like a foot pedal. It's all very primitive compared to nowadays, but it was.
I don't remember Wishbone using an acoustic, but I might be wrong.
No, I distinctly remember, because I remember Andy had one of those things. They called them the bag, but it was the horn where they put the horn in the tube in the sound.
It's the thing that Joe Walsh uses in Rocky Mountain Ways. You call it the bag.
It's a high driver, I think.
Talk box is what
Talk
it's called.
box thing, yeah. So that was this is one of those amps.
Yeah, I was just poking around on the internet yesterday, and I thought, because you got the two presets, so you could hit the button and you got like a much fatter sound for rhythm, maybe, and then next one, the other side might be lead kind of work, and even had a graphic equalizer on it.
We might have been using them when we had to replace amps after the theft in St. Louis.
Maybe.
Oh, you had some stuff stolen.
But that was before your time, wasn't it, Granny? That was
But, it was sort of high tech, because I've got these. I sent you a copy. We had these Shure microphone impedance converters, because we were running leads all the way around, like from Andy's setup to Laurie's, so they could hear each other. And so, because they were very long cords, we used
down to low impedance to get
low impedance. It was kind of high tech. So when something went wrong, you had to think, well, hang on, you had to factor out where does the bag come in, the horn, and it was good fun.
We were cutting edge, mate. We were cutting edge.
Cutting edge, man. How many people use mic cables for the guitars? Not many.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, nobody. So yeah.
But that's.
I remembered. Nice. I've forgotten that, but it's actually quite important.
Yeah.
Progression. For using long cables, it's a.
You'll lose a lot of signal otherwise.
Impedance and all that stuff. I mean, some of them could be like a couple of 100 feet long, I guess. I mean,
it might lead to a much better situation.
This is pre-wireless days, so
no wireless back then.
Yeah.
Well, I remember distinctly guys dragging their cables around behind them and then getting caught up in them.
That still happens.
So Connor's still got one of those in his loft.
Yeah.
So
all right, I see.
Probably worth a fortune now.
Nice one, yeah. Collector's item.
So great stuff, guys. It sounds like a fabulous tour.
Great time, great period to be a roadie.
You touched on it really, because I mean, when you look at the dates, and look at the Sun Plaza in Japan, and that's what I remember about Japan was the Sun Plaza, not the Budokan. But I mean, just it was great. And there's the little fans with their little toys that they come with, all sort of wrapped up like a little sweet bag, little gift, and they give it to you. Oh, so sweet.
Nice, yeah.
There was a great period to be a roadie. That's what I was at the time. Great time to be learning and having a great time at the same time. Fabulous.
Seeing the world, yeah.
Wouldn't have missed it.
One truck at a time.
Yeah.
One holiday at a time.
I'm so pleased to have lived through that era.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't, that's, you can't replace that. You can't replace the time.
Oh, these are great memories, guys. Thanks for sharing them with us. I love hearing about this.
Yeah.
But we've reached
anybody out there, thanks for listening, and I hope you get something from it. And please subscribe. We'll be in touch with more in-depth stories.
Endless streams.
We're just getting started. Just getting started. We've
Endless.
All sorts of stuff that we can do.
I keep finding things in boxes. I'm never ending. I'll be like on my deathbed and archiving.
You are the archive master. Yeah.
It's incredible.
You'll open a box, there'll be a severed hand in there.
Well, it's great to share all that stuff. Otherwise, it will just stay in a box.
That's right. I love sharing it.
So thank you everyone for being in the chat today. You've been extremely active, and it's great to see. Thanks for all the chat you've been having with each other as well there while we were talking.
I see that.
Thanks to Dustin for being with us again and being my right hand man. Appreciate it, buddy.
What does he do with that right hand? That's what I'm asking.
Well, you can't see it right now.
Same thing I do with my left. Okay.
You got anything coming up, Dustin, that you want to plug, by the way? Or
my channel, Keto Simple. Talk about keto lifestyle, all that stuff. Right now, doing a lot of lives, mainly doing a Sunday morning live, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and Chandra and I do a live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Nice, good. Well, if
and
you're
hang out with Brian.
and hang out with me and my stuff and this, and hang out with the Rowdies. And I'll my next live show on my channel, That 70s Rock Fan, is on Monday, and I'm going to do a show about Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
Pay tribute to the great Stevie Ray. So
on.
well overdue.
Yeah.
Love that man. Miss him badly. But yeah, thank you again, Granny and Mark. It's been fabulous. Subscribe, everybody, if you're not already subscribed. If you're hearing and watching this later, you like what you hear, subscribe to the channel. We've got lots of things planned. And
Well, there's loads of backup stuff that we've done over the last 6 weeks or so with you, Brian. You know that there's plenty of stuff to watch. You know, it's not all this
treasure trove of stuff there. There's dozens of videos.
Got to keep that stuff present.
Yeah, so we've got lots of plans for more stuff too. Yeah. So anyway, have a great day, everyone. Thanks again, gents, for all being here. And this was a wonderful show. Really good show. Really enjoyed it. And we will see you again at the same time next Thursday.
I've got another story in my head.
Well, let's do it quick. We do it quick. Or do you want to save it?
I got back from touring. I went to a gig, my last minute gig for a Pink Floyd cover band at Palace Theatre the other day. So it was like 6 o'clock in the evening. My nephew called me up. Can you go? And I was like, well, it's short notice. Anyway, I went, and the first set was they were a good band, but they were really having sound problems with their monitors and blah blah blah. I'm sat up by the mixing console, so I went and had a chat with the guy, and I just said, "Look, can I help? I can see you into it." And he was in a state; he was really pressured. He because he didn't know where everything was. And a big complicated band, loads of monitor mixes. So anyway, I ended up mixing the second set for this band that I'd never seen before. I know the Pink Floyd music, obviously, and anyway, they appreciated it, and I enjoyed it. So
the spirit of teamwork lives up.
It's good to, I mean, they were going to end up with a shit show, basically. Yeah. People were complaining, fire the sound man and all that stuff in the first set. And, at the end of the day, they all left, everybody left happy, and I'm glad I was able to help out.
So the moral of this story is always take a rowdy with you wherever you
Rowdy to the rescue.
Always come in handy.
They always it's like Sonic Screwdriver, take a rowdy, Gentlemen, it's been real. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We'll see you all again soon. Take care. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye, everybody.